Hey there, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in on this edition of Man with a Show. Thank you very much for clicking on these episodes. Thank you for commenting, subscribing. And if you just watched the video and you haven't subscribed yet, ask you this question. Why haven't you hit that subscribe yet? Today's the day. I think you should subscribe. And I thank those who have. You know, we get more people joining us today, and we do appreciate it. We have some stories that haven't done well. Some stories have done very well. You know, that's part of having the YouTube channel. There are things that, you know, people want to see and some things they don't. And that's choice. And that's why we always have to have choice on things. You know, we have our opinions. Our opinions may be opposite, and you may not agree on certain things, and I might not agree on certain things you believe in. But the thing of it, that's the true circle of life, is that basically, you know, we can agree and disagree on things. And that's what a good standing conversation is, and we get to learn more about each other that way. Now, we talked the last episode about some movies and shows being pulled, Gone with the Wind, Mighty Boosh, Faulty Towers, Paw Patrol. You know, we discussed all those because basically it was citing either racism, sexism, blackface, you know, all major things on there. In continuing this, what's been going on, I mean, just in the last several days, a lot of this has been happening. And one story, I think Tommy Cicerillo, we had him on the American Asylum show. We talked about the fall of terrestrial radio. Thanked him for this article he sent me on there, because he's one guy, he knows radio ins and outs, and this was a shock to a lot of people, you know, on there. And you may not have heard this yet. This was in the Capital Times. Wisconsin Public Radio does a segment of old-time radio drama. Now you ask yourself, old-time radio drama, what's that? Well, basically, you know, before the invention of television, we had radio. And we had different radio shows. And it varies all over the place. You had Little Orphan Annie. You've had Dragnet. You've had many different TV series. The Shadow, Gangbusters. In fact, to this day, you could still listen to a lot of them. If you go to a site app called TuneIn, it's something like all the other music apps and stuff like that. TuneIn has a section in there for old time radio, and basically you can listen to almost horror, comedy, mystery, music series. I mean, there are a lot of music shows on there, comedy shows. Even some of the current stuff today is redone in a radio format for the hard of hearing on there. So you like Star Trek and Blake 7, stuff like that. Mystery Science Theater 3000. Those all you could hear audio versions of them online, which is very good. Now with the WPR stuff, they've been around for 31 years doing this. They are canceling the old radio dramas after 31 years. And the reason is for racist and sexist material. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. You know, I understand. You had Amos and Andy, you had a couple other series, and the way women were treated and stuff like that. But that was the past. But these are stories. These are stuff that basically, you know, things that happened. You know, these were stories that were written. There's some of it is sci-fi, some of it's horror. The sci-fi ones are excellent. If you haven't heard, some of it's on YouTube as well. You could hear the old Dragnet audio series and some of the science fiction series that are available on there, and they're very, very good. Some of them have been rehashed and brought out to today on some of the newer series that have come out. Some of these storylines have been used in movies and TV series throughout. And, you know, you have a situation here where these are history. These old on there. I mean, you have like the original Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, very well done. You even had the movie Forbidden Planet, the Leslie Nielsen that was made into a Leslie Nielsen movie with Leslie Nielsen, but it was done on radio as well, and a couple of other big time movies from the 50s era that were done in radio format before those movies were ever made. And you could say that they're part of history. They're part of a time period that, we didn't have television. We sat in front of a radio listening in and day out every day. We tuned in, to hear the Lone Ranger, mighty steed with his faithful companion Tonto. People probably had a problem with that because of Tonto. Tonto was the Lone Ranger's best friend. He treated him good, and everyone's like, well, he's a Native American, they took over the land. No, don't take it like that. There were good things in history, and then there has been bad things in history. And let me tell you, in this country, we as a country have matured and continue to mature under this, under the flag of the United States of America, because that's important. We are a republic democracy, and it has lasted this long for this reason, that we continue to basically grow up and learn from our mistakes. We're always going to stumble on something, and that's what people have to understand. They say that we have this problem and that problem. Yeah, we're always going to have some sort of problem. But we have to put ourselves out and say, hey, we have resolved these problems throughout many years. But then you have those that say, no, it's not. They're always going to tell you that. And, who are you going to believe? You believe what you learn. You educate yourself. Do it yourself. I've educated myself. I didn't complete college, but what I did was I completed my education in the world by learning, picking up a book, and as internet progressed, I looked online. I, looked at information, read it, understood it. It's very simple. All the information you have are in libraries, on the internet. So many places to learn on there. And this is part of it. Old radio drama is part of these situations. This was stuff from back then. And, if we can't look back at our past, we're deemed to make the same mistakes in our future. And that's not the only thing that, when you look at the radio, the old time radio, the other half of this story is that basically, and we're not going to go too much into it, but you're familiar with Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering. I don't play it. I know something of it. I have a cousin who plays it. I have other people I know who plays it. I was a guy who used to play D&D back then. And I bet they could find problems with D&D, plain and simple. Here, Magic the Gathering is calling back certain cards. In fact, they've eliminated, because these cards have been out for quite some time, since the 90s, they're eliminating them from tournament play as well. So you can't use them in tournament play. And Tim Pool on Timcast brought this up and all that. And he said he wanted to put a deck together of all those cards that was deemed racist, because that's what's happening, or culturally offensive. I mean, there was one card, and I won't bring up all the cards on there, and basically it was invoke prejudice, but that's not really what it means on there. There's one where it cancels out black. Now, if you understand Wizard Magic the Gathering, everything is color coded on there. It's not saying a particular color. It's saying that you're eliminating a particular type of style of magic, or a particular style of people that just basically are trying to fight you. You're trying to stop them in situations. This is battles in games. This is, stratego, chess, and stuff like that. You have to have certain moves on that. And this, you have certain powers. And you're dealing with magic and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, we invoke this stops the certain people from attacking us. It's not saying being prejudiced against them. You're stopping someone from defeating you. You know, you understand? This is battle. This is not something of the nature. Like I said, I don't play this game, but from what I understand, that's what most of these cards are. These are battle cards. They just basically, you throw it down, boom. You know, you stop a person from trying to attack you, defeat you, or use magic against you. It varies. Now, Wizard of the Coast wants to apologize, bend to the knee. They've already had a lot of problems with it, with their systems and cards and the way that their cards have been put out and stuff like that. You know, I've heard stories out of the Quartering and Tim Pool and a couple other people, and they say, you know, these are the problems that Wizards of the Coast goes through a lot, and they're surprised that haven't happened sooner. But now this has happened, and you know, they say like, oh, you know, it's because this is because of white supremacy. You know, you don't know who made the card up. You don't know what they were thinking when they made the card up. You know, were they thinking of offensive things? No, they're not. You know, you don't know. And this is what the problem is. The same thing with the radio. You don't know the programming. You know, you have to listen to it. But yet you have these, like, once again, and as I said before, you have these people that, especially mostly on Twitter, that are going to complain and complain and complain about this day in, day out, but they are not your customers. When are they going to understand? You know, when I was in retail, they would say the customer's always right. But when you go to the back room, only a percentage of the customers are right, and you don't let that know in the front. But now that I'm not in retail anymore, you know, I could say that. And basically, you know, you get these people that they just simply don't want things to offend them to be in front of them. But it's not in front of you. As my mother says, if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. That's plain and simple. Walk away from it. Don't look at it, you know. Change the channel. That's the biggest thing. You know, like Howard Stern said a long time ago. And Howard Stern just got in trouble for the blackface he did recently. I mean, not recently that he did blackface, just recently they talked about it from years ago that he did this. He did he dressed up as black characters, he did blackface. But the thing about it is that, you know, he did it in a comedic sense. Did it offend people? Yeah. It's always going to offend somebody. Somebody's going to be offended. But the thing about it is you can't bend to the whim of these small potential. They're not going to be your customers. They'll never be your customers. And those who are, don't give a flying crapola about what you do. They just wanted things their way to feel good about themselves. I'm sorry, but if they want to feel good about themselves, stick their fingers in the ears, because a lot of things are going to offend them. It's like a comedian says, did you come to the comedy show to laugh or to get offended? Because if you're coming here to get offended, you're going to be really offended, because there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to say that are going to offend you. So leave now before you're offended. And like I said, change the channel. Turn the TV off. Turn the radio off. Don't look at Wizards, you know, at the Magic the Gathering game. That doesn't. If you don't play it, you don't need to know about it. Plain and simple. So comment below. Tell me how you feel about this. I know we've been going a little bit long on some of these episodes, but there's been a lot going on. And, you know, like I said, we got a pile, if I can show you, a pile of news articles that we get from all over the place. Like, once again, thanks Thomas Cicerillo for that little article that he posted on that. And like I said, I hope WPR, Wisconsin Public Radio, changes their mind on that, because there are some good shows. There are some really good drama shows out there. And like I said, a lot of the storylines have been used today. So comment, like, support, share. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being there. Bye-bye now.